All right. Well, well, thank you. I'm Kevin Reese. Thank you all for holding this space. It's a honor to be into this space, particularly talking about this particular bill, which is something that's near and dear to me. You had said it a little bit before we started. Yes, my experience. I spent 14 years, 5 months inside of Minnesota correctional facilities. I've been released for about 20 months now. I spent from the age of 18 to 32 inside of Minnesota correctional facilities, which is some very important developmental years. I grew up in Minnesota correctional facilities. And this particular bill is attached to something that we slept with as our dream. So right now, currently in the state of Minnesota, incarceration is just kind of like this long road. There is really no connection between, the instant that took place and while you're in prison, particularly for those who have done long terms in prison, right? There's a place in the middle of it that we refer to as like the middle passage. When you've done every program that the facility has to offer, you could have like a impeccable discipline record. You could be engaged with your family. You could be doing everything that you need to do, but there is still like nothing back from the system, right? So for folks who end up in that system, who's already like used to not being able to have their positive efforts be reinforced, right? There were so many days we would sit down and we would say, wouldn't this make a difference if some of these days mattered, or some of these programs mattered, or some of these initiatives that I did mattered? And with them not mattering, I've seen people lose hope. I've seen people lose hope because they come to a place where it's like, I could do all of this stuff and none of it matters. So having a DOC where the rehabilitation is kind of on, the individual's own merit and their own actions. What I know from experience, it would literally change the culture inside of the Minnesota Department of Corrections, because it would turn from a place that's like, instead of just like warehousing, this feeling of just like being warehoused. I come in on this day, I leave this day. Everything in between is kind of like a smoke screen. None of it matters. It would literally give purpose to every day that someone is inside of the correctional facilities. Also, it would make it for a safer facility for the incarcerated, for the staff at the facility, because it will give space to this level of leadership that exists among the men and women who's already currently incarcerated. There's already such an amazing group of human beings who is incarcerated inside of Minnesota correctional facilities. And if given the chance to shift culture where these days matters, these programs matter, I'm telling you, more people than not would be there every day encouraging each other. Complete this program, do this thing. The average phone call with someone's family would be different. The family member would be able to encourage their loved one based on like, are you doing these programs? Are you doing this program? And the family would be more engaged in their rehabilitation. Also, in this amendment, there is language around, nonviolent offenders. I must say, as someone myself who went to prison for felony murder when I was 18 years old, I want to address public safety. I'm in the public now. I want to be safe too. My family want to be safe. Everybody want to be safe, but we have to examine this a little bit further. Some of these folks who are in there for, instances on paper that say violent, they were children before they committed these instances. So for another bill to come out that just right off the top that will completely just erase them, what we will be doing to, again, telling this group of people, you're not welcome, you're not valuable, the thing that you did is unforgivable, right? And some of these folks are suffering from mental health and emotional issues, right? And if there is no space for them to be able to have this path back through rehabilitation, it's again, telling them that they're not valuable, that what they did is unforgivable, and there's no way back for them. So I must say that, and I would love to see this stretch where this is something that's retroactive, that can actually be systems-wide, that can impact everybody. And I want to go back to something. The most important thing for me is that there's still a level of you have to earn it, right? This bill, this Reinvestment Act is not saying give nothing. It is saying there will be an opportunity for folks based off their own merit and their own actions to rehabilitate themselves. And it would be something that we can all see taking place right in front of us. It's more of a tangible thing versus rehabilitation right now. It's very abstract. It's just based off time. It's you come in on this day, you leave on this day. And there's really no way that we can track if he or she has been doing this thing that we call rehabilitation. And this program will be something that we will be able to identify. We will be able to say, this person did this, this, this. And it will be based off their own merit. And it will give folks the opportunity, maybe for the first time for a lot of folks, for their positive actions to be met with positive reinforcement. Right? It would absolutely, it would give that sense of that as well too. And the last thing is how the reinvestment part, the fact that the reinvestment back in the community, it would continue to like create these pathways for folks to not only like come through incarceration, but on the back end of incarceration, feel like there's a place for them left in the city. There's a place for them in the world where they will also continue to be reinvested in. And I'm here today because this is something that's near and dear to me. This impacts a lot of people that I know, that I love. I know how much it would have impacted me during my incarceration. Those 14 and a half years sucked, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, every day sucked. And particularly the last 4.5 years. You would think it gets easier at the end. It doesn't, because you come to a place where I had did everything that the system had to offer. I went 11 years without going to SEG. 11 years, and it meant nothing. It meant nothing. Every time you get a 6-month review from your case manager, hey, you could have just went 6 months. How much stuff I avoided, how many times I switched in my cell when crazy stuff was going on, like the day-to-day that it takes for someone to like stay out of trouble and stay out of the way, it's not acknowledged at all. And what it can begin to do, if it's not acknowledged and it's not supported, it will begin to like be counterproductive with rehabilitation. And also, it would be a space for folks to be able to almost make amends. Because now I know me, there's a part of me that's a whole, I've never fully been able to say sorry to my victim or my victim's family. So I still live with that every day in community. So I'm still not whole. I did 14 and a half years, and I just came in on this day and I left on this day. But there was nothing that directly addressed while I was in prison. So I'm still in community right now, not feeling whole and complete, or I can say I'm fully rehabilitated from that because there was no process. It was just me there from this time to this time. And this particular bill and program will shift the culture inside of DOC. My work as a community organizer, I'm talking to the men every day. This will give so many people something to live for, something to look forward to. And each one teach one, it's a part of the institution. Anyone that's familiar with the DOC, there are people in there every day, like teaching each other, learning from each other. And if this bill was to pass, and if this was a new memo that came up and was on the board, because we get so many memos, right? There's so many memos. If this memo goes on the board and this is happening, it would absolutely shift the culture inside of the facilities to one around, we got to do whatever we got to do to get home. Will there be some people that fall through the cracks? Absolutely, yes. But I think the folks that fall through the cracks, it will be easier for us to identify them and give them the help that they need. Because if there's someone inside of the facility and everything is in front of them for them to get home to their loved ones earlier, and they're still doing things, those disruptive things inside of the facility, I would like to bet if we were to further examine this, he or she, the same person, they are probably suffering from something else, and we need to get them some different kind of help as well too. So I also think it would help us identify the folks who need, because everyone is different. It's a collective, but everybody's, individual needs, because we're all individuals. This program would allow us to identify the individuals who needs a little bit more help. But the vast majority of folks would absolutely take this as an opportunity to have their rehabilitation, something that they can walk out every day. So I'm in complete support of this because I know how much it would have meant to me, and I know how much it would mean to all of those who's currently incarcerated. And the biggest part about it is the reinvestment part, because the goal is to get them back into community, for them to be taxpayer citizens and contributors to our society. And this program will give them a pathway to it.